In last lecture, we discussed about uh, how to write the Verilog module for D flip-flop. And today we will discuss about how to write the Verilog module for a JK flip-flop. So concept will remain same. How to recognize the positive edge or the negative edge of the clock. So those concept will remain same. Only thing is, as per the truth table of JK flip-flop, we have to write the Verilog code. Okay. So today we will discuss the Verilog code of positive edge triggered JK flip-flop. Then Verilog code of negative edge triggered JK flip-flop. Then I will write the test bench and then I will demonstrate the software. So now the Verilog code of positive edge triggered JK flip-flop with the reset. So here you can find the block diagram of this JK flip-flop. So this is JK flip-flop. And this is a positive edge triggered flip-flop because here at the clock input there is no bubble, right? If there is no bubble, this indicates this is a positive edge triggered flip-flop. So there is one input CLK. From the CLK input, the clocks will be provided for this JK flip-flop like this. There is one input J and another input K. So these are the J and K inputs. There is another input reset. And see here one bubble you can find here at the reset input. This indicates that reset is active low. The meaning is if reset is 0, then the flip-flop will reset. Means the value of the output of the flip-flop will become 0. Whatever may be the value of J and K, output will reset. And this reset input is a asynchronous input. This means it is not synchronized with the clock. At any point of time you can apply a 0 signal on the reset, then the flip-flop will reset. Right? It does not depend upon the clock. Whereas the inputs J and K are the synchronous inputs. Whenever since this is a positive edge of JK flip-flop, so see the positive edge of the clock is this. Means when clock is going from low to high, that is the positive edge, right? This is the positive edge. So at this edge, right? So at this edge, depending upon the values of J and K, the flip-flop will operate and it will generate some output. Yes, obviously for the normal operation of this JK flip-flop, the reset should be 1. This should be 1 for normal operation or for operating your flip-flop. Normal operation, right? So let us assume our reset, we kept the reset at 1. So whenever this edge, positive edge in the clock is detected, then depending upon the values of J and K, output will change, right? Same thing will happen at this edge also, same thing will happen at this edge, right? Apart from these edges, if you change the value of J and K, that will not be reflected at the output because this flip-flop will work only at the positive edge of the clock. So now here you can find this is a truth table of JK flip-flop, and in this truth table we have written the truth table by assuming the condition that RST input of this flip-flop is 1, right? So if RST input, that is reset input, is 1, so this flip-flop works as per this truth table, right? So now here in the first column, this represents the present state of the flip-flop. Means what is the current output of the flip-flop? That is called as present state. Then next column indicates the inputs, and these inputs J and K. Values of J and K is given in this column. And the next column is the next state. So next state means after the detection of the positive edge, what is the value of Q? That is called as the next state, right? Okay. So see here, first row, if present state is 0, means right now this Q is 0, and J input is 0 and K input is 0. And if you detect this positive edge, and if the positive edge comes, then the Q will be 0. Next state will be 0. So in JK flip-flop, if the J and K both inputs are 0, then the next state will same as the present state. Whatever is the present state, the next state will remain same. Now you see the second row. Let us assume the present state is 1. Means let us assume this output Q is 1 right now. And J and K, these are also 0. So now if any positive edge in the clock is detected, then the next state will remain same 1. So there is not change, there will be no change in the next state, right? This means the output Q will remain 1. So from these first two conditions, right? From these first two conditions, we can say that in the first two conditions of the row, we can say that for these conditions, we can say that this Q, right? I write it at T plus 1. This T plus 1 means next state is equal to Q, right? So whatever is the this is present state, right? Present state, and this is the next state. Next state means T plus 1 means after the application of pulse. So whatever is the value of present state, next state will remain same. You can see here also, if it present state is 0, next state is 0. If present state is 1, next state is 1. Okay, now we see the next two conditions when the J and K inputs are 0, 1. See here, J is 0, K is 0, J is 0, K is 0. Now in these two conditions, you see the row number 3 and row number 4. So if J and K inputs are 0, 1, then the next state will always be 0, right? So then the next state, that is Q T plus 1, next state will always 0. You can see here in row 3, present state is 0, next state is 0. Present state is 1 and next state is 0. This means whatever may be the present state, if J is 0 and K is 1, then the next state will always be 0. Now come to next two rows of JK flip-flop, row number 5 and row number 6. In these two rows, you can see here J is 1 and K is 0. J is 1 and K is 0. If these are the conditions, if J input is 1 and K input is 0, then the next state of the JK flip-flop will always be 1. It always be 1. Whatever may be the present state. You can check here. In row number 5, present state is 0, J is 0, K is 0, so next state is 1. See the row number 6, present state is 1, J is 1, K is 0, so next state is also 1. So whatever may be the present state, next state will always be 1. Now come to the last two rows of this truth table, that is row number 7 and row number 8. In these two rows, the J and K inputs both are 1. See here, both are 1. So here in this case, the next state is the complement of the present state. You can see here row number 7. Present state is 0. So what is the next state? Next state is 1. It is the complement of the present state. See the row number 8. Present state is 1. And what is the next state? Next state is 0. So next state is a complement of the present state. If J and K inputs are 1. So for this condition, next state, that is Qt plus 1, will be Q bar, right? It will be the complement of the present state. So these are the, so this is the truth table, how this JK flip-flop works, right? So you always remember one more point. JK flip-flop here means this change in the output, that is next state, will be applicable only if RST is 1. This is the point number 1. And when the positive edge is detected on the clock input, right? In between this positive edge, if there is any change in J and K values, that will not affect the operation of JK flip-flop. And at any point of time, if you apply the 0 value at the RST input, reset input, then also the output Q will become 0, irrespective of the values of J, K and clock. Right, so we will model this, we will write the Verilog code for this particular flip-flop. Code is written in this way: module and module. Name of the Verilog module I have given JKFF. The ports of this module is J, K, CLK, RST and Q. These are the 5 ports of this JK flip-flop. And out of these 5 ports, the input ports are declared now by the keyword input, and these are J, K, CLK, RST. These are the input ports. And the output port is declared by the next statement by the keyword output. So there is one output port Q. Here we have declared Q as reg type because we are going to assign the values to this Q inside the always block. So we have to declare it as a reg type. Okay. Then always at the rate, inside the bracket we have written negedge RST and pause as CLK. So already we discussed about these negedge and pauses in the previous lecture. You can go, you can follow, you can just go with the previous D flip-flop lectures. But again I will repeat, pause as, this is the keyword which is used to detect the positive edge, right? It will detect the positive edge of CLK. Whenever the positive edge on the CLK is detected, then the always block will be activated. And this negedge it will be used to detect this negative edge. It will be used to detect this negative edge on RST input. So whenever the negative edge is detected on the RST input, then due to neg edge RST, always block will be active. And whenever these blocks are active, then all the statements inside always block will be executed. Okay. One. Right. So now, so let us assume, okay, first we will see the code. Inside the always block, the code is first, and we are using if else statement, and first condition we are testing RST is equal to 0. If RST is equal to 0, then this statement will be executed. 0 will be assigned to Q, because we know that if the RST, that is the reset input, is 0, then flip-flop will be reset. So 0 will be assigned to Q. Else if RST is not 0, and then these two conditions will be tested. If J is equal to 0 and K is equal to 0, right? So with this, what will happen? If J is equal to 0, if this condition is true, so then this will be give you true. This equality operator will give you true if J is 0. And if K is also 0, then this will also give you true. So true, and this ampersand means AND operation. True and true will give you true. So if this condition is evaluated true, then this statement is executed. Q will be assigned to Q, because you see the first two rows of the truth table. If J is 0, K is 0, and second row also J is 0, K is 0. For this condition, the present state, whatever is the value of Q, it will remain unchanged. It will remain unchanged, right? So same value will be assigned to Q. Okay. And if J is 0 and K is not 0, suppose we see one condition, if J is 0 and K is not 0. So if K is not 0, then what will happen? This K is not 0, suppose K is 1, right? So in that case, K is equal to 0 will generate, it will evaluate a false, right? So now true and false will give you false. So if this expression is evaluated as false, then the next condition will be tested. So what is the next condition? If J is 0 and K is 1. If this is the condition, if this condition is true, then you see in this in these two rows, if J is 0, K is 1, J is 0, K is 1. In these case, this 0 will be assigned to Q. So this statement is written here, 0 is assigned to Q. If this condition is not true, then next condition is evaluated, that is J is equal to 1 and K is equal to 0. And if this condition is true, then you see next two rows of the JK flip-flop truth table. J is 1, K is 0. J is 1, K is 0. Whatever may be the present state, 0 or 1, the next state will always be 1. So see here, 1 will be assigned to Q as a next state. So now you see here in the code, if this is the condition, then 1 is assigned to Q. If J is 1, K is 0. If this is also not true, then the last condition will be evaluated, and that is J is equal to 1, K is equal to 1. If this is true, then what will happen? See the last two rows. If J is 1, K is 1, J is 1, K is 1, in both of these cases, the Q bar will be assigned to Q. Means whatever is the value of Q, that will be complemented. So for that I have written here Q is equal to negate Q. So here I am using this negate symbol, right? So it will complement the value of Q and that will be assigned to Q. So this is the Verilog module of JK flip-flop. Okay. So in this, what will happen? Just I will repeat the things, some point which I covered in the last lecture. Suppose this is the clock signal, right? This is the clock signal, and this is the RST signal, right? So suppose RST signal is high, and at this point it goes low, right? And clock is like this, some clock is applied, right? So since this is a pause, since here we have written pause as clock, so whenever this edge is detected, these edges are detected, at that time always block will be activated. How this code will work, you just see. First clock, first edge is detected, first positive edge is detected. So what will happen? Due to pause as CLK, the event occurred in CLK and this edge is detected, so always block will be activated. Then first RST is equal to 0 will be evaluated. So here you see at this time RST is not 0, it is 1. So since RST is not 0, so now the remaining conditions of the J and K inputs will be evaluated, and accordingly some value will be assigned to Q. Same thing will happen to the edge second of the clock. At this time, when the second edge is detected, at that time also RST value is 1. So with the detection of the second edge, again due to the pause edge CLK, this always block is again activated. Again the conditions will be evaluated and some value will be assigned to Q. After the execution of last statement, again the always block will be suspended. Now it will remain suspend. It will remain suspend unless a negative edge is detected on RST or the positive edge is detected on CLK. It will remain suspended. Always block will remain suspended. Now you see at this time there is no edge, positive edge on the clock, but RST signal is going from high to low. So at this particular time a negative edge is detected on RST. So now since negative edge is detected on RST, then due to neg edge RST, always block is activated. And once it is activated, then if RST is equal to 0, this condition will be evaluated. So now you see after this negative edge, what is the value of RST? It is 0, right? So this condition is true. Now if this condition is true, immediately 0 will assign to Q. The code will not test the remaining conditions, right? It will immediately assign the value 0 to the RST. After assigning the value, again the always block will be suspended. Now you see at this time, at this particular time, a positive edge is detected on CLK. Now due to the pause edge CLK, one positive edge is detected, so always block is again activated. Now if it is activated, then it will execute the statements which are inside always block. So first statement it will evaluate if RST is equal to 0. So now you check at this time. At this time RST value is 0. Yes. So RST is 0, so 0 is assigned to Q. So now at this particular time, the conditions of J and K values will not be tested, right? Because RST is 0. First statement is RST is 0. So immediately the 0 will be assigned to Q. Here, this 0 will be assigned to Q. So in this way, this code will work. Okay. So this is the second method. Already we discussed in the last lecture also. Here you see we are testing this condition RST is equal to 0. For in place of RST is equal to 0, what we can do? We can write this also here, right? Negate operator and RST, right? So this means when the RST is 0, then this will evaluate true, right? So if it is true, then 0 will be assigned to Q. And if RST value is not 0, then this then negate RST will evaluate as false. And if it is false, then other conditions will be tested. Okay, so in place of RST is equal to 0, you can use negate RST also. The remaining thing is same in this code also. There is no change in the code. Okay, now we will see the negative edge triggered JK flip-flop. So here you can see this clock signal. Now this bubble is there, right? In previous case you see there is no bubble here. There is no bubble. So this absence of bubble means this is a positive edge triggered flip-flop. And now this bubble is there, so this means negative edge triggered flip-flop. Means whenever the now suppose this is the clock. This is the clock. So now when this edge is detected at the negative edge, depending upon the value of J and K, output of the flip-flop will be affected provided RST is 1, right? So if RST is 1, then this flip-flop will operate at the negative edge of the clock signal, right? So this code is exactly same, only one change is now we want to detect the negative edge of the clock. So for that we have used the keyword neg edge, right? CLK. So neg edge, this neg edge will detect this negative edge. Whenever the negative edge will come on this CLK signal, then it will be detected and always will be activated, right? Only this is the change. Okay, now we will see the test bench. So this is our Verilog module, which is also called as UUT, unit under test, right? So this is the test bench and this is the unit under test. So it has the ports J, K, CLK and RST and this Q, right? These are the ports. So whatever ports I have written here, J, K, CLK, RST, Q, these ports are indicated in this UUT. Now in the test bench, what I am going to do, I am using the same name of these ports as the name of the test bench port also, right? So in the test bench, there are the ports J, K, CLK and RST, right? J port of the test bench is associated with the J port of the unit under test. K port of the test bench is associated with K port of the unit under test. CLK of the test bench is associated with the CLK of the unit under test, and RST of the test bench is associated with the RST of the unit under test. And Q of the unit under test is associated with the Q port of the test bench. So those ports of the test bench which are associated with the input ports of the UUT should be declared as rig type in the test bench, right? And those ports of the test bench which is associated with the output port of the unit under test should be declared as wire in the test bench code. Okay, so this is the test bench code. So the name, so this test bench, it starts with the module keyword and it ends with the end module keyword. The name of this test bench I have given test bench. Now see here rig RST, rig CLK, rig J, rig K and wire Q. Already I told you the the ports of the test bench which are associated with the ports of the UET, input port of the UET will be rig type, and output and the port of the test bench which is interfaced with the output port of UUT will be the wire type. So Q is the wire type. Okay. Now after this, the next statement is the instantiation statement. So here I am instantiating JKFF. This is the name of my this unit under test, JKFF. This, then UUT, and inside the bracket I am using the explicit association method. Means the name of the ports of UUT and the name of the test bench ports I am writing here for the association. So dot RST. So first whatever you are writing, this is the port of your unit under test, and this is associated with a port of the test bench which is written inside the bracket. So inside the bracket whatever will be written, this is test bench. This is test bench port. Okay. So here I have done all these instantiations. CLK associated with CLK, J is associated with J, K is associated with K, Q is associated with Q. Okay. After this instantiation statement, see the next statement. Here what I am doing, $monitor, it is used to print the waveform. $sign, it is used to track the simulation time. So these are the directives. Then inside the double quote, this is the double quote here, from here to here. Inside this double quote, I am mentioning the type of signals, type of values which can be assigned to the various ports of the test bench. So RST, to this we can assign bit type. Here this percentage B means bit type value. Same way to the CLK port of the test bench we can assign bit type value. Same way for J we can assign bit type. For K we can assign bit type. For Q we can assign bit type. Percentage B means bit type. After this double quote, then comma, and next you have written the name of the ports of the test bench, RST, CLK, J, K, Q. So whenever there is any change in the value of these variables, then this monitor directive will print the waveform. Okay, it will print the waveform. Now in the test bench we use the initial block, right? Because initial block will execute only once. So for the test bench we have to use the initial block, and there can be multiple initial block is allowed. Okay, so now you see this is my first initial block, this is my second initial block, this is my third initial block, this is my fourth initial block, and this is my fifth initial block. So all the initial blocks will execute parallelly, right? So all will execute parallelly. So in first initial block what I am doing, so now see here, I am assigning a value 0, this 0 to the RST input. Okay, then I am writing this statement, hash 20 RST is equal to, for the time being you just neglect this repeat within bracket 10, you just time being you just neglect this. So here I have written hash 20 RST is equal to negate RST. So this symbol, this is one operator which perform the complement operation over whatever signal you will write after this. So here I have written RST. So what will happen? Whatever is the value of RST, it will be complemented. So right now you see what value you have assigned to RST here. Here we have assigned 0, right? So to the RST, we have assigned 0 with this statement. So what this will do, it will complement that. So RST will become 0 and 0 will be assigned to RST. So RST will get a new value, sorry, 1, because complement of 0 is 1. 1 will be the new value of the RST. But at what time? After 20 unit time of the simulation. Let the simulation starts at this time, at t is equal to 0, and let us assume we are using the unit for the simulation as nanoseconds, right? So after 20 nanosecond means maybe around this time, after 20 nanosecond, the value of RST will become 1. So RST, initially it is 0, it will remain 0. At this time it will become 1, right? At this time it will become 1. And since we have written here, okay, so at 20 nanosecond RST will become 1, and since we have written here repeat within bracket 10, so this statement will repeat 10 times. 10 times means this is first time, then again after again hash 20 RST is equal to complement RST will be executed. This means now again the value of RST will be complemented. So what is the current value of RST? 1. Its complement is 0. So 0 will be assigned to RST. But at what time? After this 20 nanosecond of this time, of current time. So after this 20 nanosecond means now at 40 nanosecond, this RST will become 0, like this. Then again the statement will be executed, again it will complement it. So in this way you can get this type of signal on the RST, right, due to this first initial statement. Okay. Now due to the second initial statement, what will happen? Second initial statement is this, and here CLK, I am assigning 0 value to the CLK. Then this repeat block, it will repeat this statement, hash to CLK is equal to complement CLK. So with this what will happen, some clock, this type of clock will be generated, right? This type of clock will be generated. This means if it is 0 time, then after 2 unit time, then after 2 means 4 unit time, then again after 2 means 6 unit time. So after the gap of 2 unit time, the complement of the clock will be generated. So you will get this type of clock. Now you come to the initial block number 3. So this block is used to assign the value to the J input. Initial block number 4 is used to assign the values to K input, right? And initial block number 5 has $200 finish. So what it will do, at 200 unit time after the start of the simulation, the simulation will stop, right? So in this way, this is the test bench. Now I will show you this test bench demonstration. Okay. Already I have written this. This is the code of JK flip-flop, right? Just now we discussed. You can see the same code is here. So this is our unit under test, right? So see here, this is UUT, unit under test. Now this is the test bench. How to create and this is the code of the test bench, right? How to create the source file of the test bench. In last lecture I explained, you just follow that lecture, you can understand. So this is the test bench code, right? Already we discussed this. This, okay. So now I will run this test bench, simulate this. Okay. Now see here. First signal, this is output Q, then RST, then CLK, then J and K. So initially you can check the RST is 0, right? RST is 0 up to 20 nanoseconds. Up to 20 nanoseconds. Because you see in our code what we have written in the test bench, we have written this RST has 20. Has 20 is written there. That's why after 20 nanoseconds only the value of RST will complement, right? So RST is 0 up to 20 nanosecond, and due to that the Q is 0. Q will remain 0. It will not get affected by the CLK or JNK, anything. It is 0. Now see at 20 NS the RST is 1. So now our JK flip flop will work. When it will work, when the CLK will get the positive edge. Now this is CLK signal. So CLK is getting the positive edge at this time here at 22 nanosecond. See this time CLK is going from 0 to 1. So at this time, what is the value of J and K? J is 1, K is 1. So output is Q is 1. Why Q is 1? Because before this time, you see at this time, at 21 nanosecond, the value of Q is 0. So if the value of Q is 0, and at the positive edge, if the value of J and K both are 1, so output will complement. That's why Q is complemented now. You see here at this point of time, Q is complemented because the value of J and K is 1, and the present state was 0. So the next state has become 1. It is the complemented now. Now you see the positive edge of the clock you will get at this time. Now you see. Now what is the position? J is 1, K is 0. So if J is 1 and K is 0, so output will remain 1. So Q is 1. Now you see the positive edge at this time, at 30 nanosecond. At this time, again J is 1, K is 0, so Q is same 1. Now at this edge, you check. At this time, 34 nanosecond, positive edge of the clock is detected. So RST is 1. This means now whatever is the value of J and K, depending upon that you will get the output. So J is 1, K is 1. So if J is 1 and K is 1, then output will be complemented. So previous output will become 0. So see the output will become 0 because previously the output was 1. So if output was 1, Q was 1. So if the at the positive edge, if the J is 1, K is 1, then output will be complemented. So you are getting output 0. Okay, so we can test at this condition also at 38 nanosecond. J is 1, K is 0. If this is the case, then output will be 1. So Q is 1. So in this way, this code is showing the functionality of JK flip-flop, and this we have tested with the test bench. Okay.